There are moments in the tides of nations when the pulse of anger surges so violently that it threatens to wash away the delicate bridges we've built across time, memory, and history. When the skies scream with jet engines and the earth trembles under fire, it is easy, so very easy, to let that fury take root in our bones. Thai jets have bombed Cambodian lands, and with every explosion, there is not just damage to land, but to the fragile fabric of our shared humanity. But amid the smoke and chaos, we must remember this truth. Though anger may set the skies ablaze, let not your soul catch fire with hatred. Anger is a natural response, a spark born from pain, fear, or betrayal. It ignites fast and burns hot. It makes the blood boil, the hands clench, and the eyes narrow. It calls for retaliation, demands retribution, and promises satisfaction. But it is a liar. Anger, unexamined and untransformed, becomes poison. It may feel powerful in the moment, but it weakens the very soul it possesses. If you let it linger too long, it will make a home in your heart and evict every trace of peace and grace. We must learn to sit with our anger without feeding it. Let it speak, yes. Let it teach us what has been wounded, what boundaries have been crossed, what justice must be sought. But do not let it master you. Do not let it shape your every word or lead your every step. When we carry the fire of fury inside, we risk setting ablaze everything we love. Our communities, our values, our very sense of right and wrong can be consumed if we are not careful. The ashes of wrath are a cold comfort. You see, it is not weakness to resist the pull of rage. It is strength. It is a deeper, older kind of strength that doesn't shout, but listens, that doesn't attack but understands. It is easy to join the chorus of war drums, but it takes immense courage to be the still voice in a storm that says there must be another way. A voice that says, my humanity is too sacred to be sacrificed at the altar of vengeance. Hatred is a fire that promises warmth but leaves you burnt. It turns the oppressor and the oppressed into mirror images, both scorched by the same flames. We must resist that fire, not just for ourselves but for the generations watching, learning, waiting. The children are looking to us to show them what it means to be human, not just to be powerful but to be principled, not just to strike but to stand with dignity even when wounded. In these times when war paints the horizon and fear wraps itself around the ankles of nations, we must become peacekeepers of the soul. Be the one who breathes instead of breaks, who listens instead of lashes out. The bombs may fall, but your spirit doesn't have to. Your values don't have to crumble. Your love for what is right and just and kind doesn't have to be traded for the bitter satisfaction of revenge. So walk forward, not with hatred in your heart, but with purpose in your steps. Let others fight from fear. You act from wisdom. Let others burn in anger. You shine with clarity. Though the sky may be lit with war, your inner sky can still hold the calm, the grace, the light that guides others home. Do not let hatred win. Do not let it live in you. Let peace, even now, be the fire that burns brighter. We are not merely children of our flags. We are bearers of the human spirit. We were born not under borders but under skies that belong to no man. Before we knew nations, we knew love. Before we were taught pride, we felt connection. And yet over time we began to draw lines in the dirt and guard them with fire, as though the earth itself had declared loyalty to one people over another. But the truth is simple and unshakable. The human spirit knows no boundaries. It speaks in a language deeper than dialect, older than any anthem. And it calls us now, in this time of turmoil, to remember who we truly are beneath the uniforms, beyond the maps. The conflict between Thailand and Cambodia has made the headlines roar with words like attack, retaliation, and defense. But these are words written by the hands of politics, not the hands of mothers who cradle their children at night, unsure of tomorrow. Not by the hands of farmers watching their crops turn to ash, or students whose classrooms tremble from the echo of warplanes. These are not merely strategic strikes or military maneuvers. These are human lives interrupted. These are dreams paused. These are futures threatened. So when the world tells you to choose a side, to stand with your flag and curse the other, Remember this, your soul was never born with a flag in its hand. We belong first to one another, not to governments. Nations may rise and fall, but the dignity of a human being is timeless. Do not let the illusion of separation cloud your vision. The tears of a Cambodian child are no less salty than those of a Thai mother. The fear in the eyes of a Thai villager is no different from that of a Cambodian father, clutching his family close. Pain does not wear a passport. It does not check for visas. It arrives swiftly and settles into hearts, regardless of what side of the border they live on. That is why, in times like these, we must resist the temptation to dehumanize the other. It is easy to turn neighbors into enemies when fear walks beside you. It is easy to believe that the person across the line is your threat when you have been told so again and again. But war has no victor among the innocent. In the end, when the dust settles and the names are read, it will not matter which side you stood on. It will matter what kind of human you were when everything around you begged you to forget your humanity. The human spirit is resilient. It has endured genocide, slavery, exile, and oppression. And still, it sings. Still, it reaches out. Still, it believes in goodness even when surrounded by grief. You carry that spirit in you. It lives in your quiet choices, in your refusal to hate, in your decision to see the face of a brother in the body of a stranger. That spirit is not bound by borders. It is bound by love, by compassion, by an understanding that the world breaks us all, but we rise stronger when we rise together. So let them raise their flags and beat their war drums. Let your heart be loyal not to division but to unity. Let your allegiance be to justice, to truth, to the eternal bond of humanity. For long after the flags are folded, and the soldiers return home, and the headlines fade, it will be the kindness we gave, the peace we kept, and the bridges we built that history will remember, not where we stood but what we stood for. There is strength in stillness, and might in mercy. In a world that often confuses violence with valor and noise with authority, the quiet path is mistaken for weakness. But do not be deceived. It takes more courage to hold your hand still than to strike. It takes more power to forgive than to retaliate. And in the middle of chaos, when Thai jets rain fire over Cambodian land, when fear and fury rise like smoke, it is the ones who choose restraint, who seek peace instead of conquest, who carry the greatest power of all. There are those who will tell you that peace is a naive dream, something soft and fragile, something only possible in poetry, but never in politics. They will say the only language an enemy understands is force, that mercy is dangerous, and diplomacy is a delay of the inevitable. But remember, the strongest bridges are built not from stone or steel but from understanding. And every act of mercy is a brick laid in the foundation of a future where our children do not inherit our bloodshed. To retaliate may feel like justice, but justice without wisdom becomes vengeance, and vengeance leaves behind only shadows. History is heavy with the weight of wars waged in the name of righteousness, only to end in regret. Kingdoms have crumbled because they mistook revenge for strength. But the people who endured, the ones who wrote songs in exile, who planted trees in scorched soil, who forgave even when the world gave them every reason not to, those are the ones who changed history's course. When bombs fall, they do not ask whether the people beneath them deserved it. They do not seek out only the guilty. They touch children, elders, lovers, strangers. That is the cruelty of war. It does not discriminate in its destruction. But mercy is precise. Mercy sees the face behind the uniform. It hears the story behind the silence. It recognizes that inside every so-called enemy lives a human heart, fragile and full of longing, not so different from your own. We must understand that mercy is not forgetting. It is not pretending harm did not occur. It is not accepting injustice. Mercy is the decision to rise above it, to say, I will not become what wounded me. I will not carry your violence forward. I will not be a vessel for your bitterness. I will be a turning point. I will be a threshold where suffering ends and healing begins. In this moment of fire and fear, Let us lift our heads high, not in arrogance but in clarity. Let us be unshakable in our resolve, not to crush the other, but to protect what is sacred: life, dignity, and hope. We do not need more weapons. We need more wisdom. We do not need more strikes. We need more stillness. In that stillness we find vision. In that mercy we find might. So when others shout for blood, be the whisper that speaks of peace. When others march to war, be the steady feet walking toward understanding. Your strength lies not in how fiercely you fight, but in how bravely you love. Choose mercy, not because the world deserves it, but because you deserve to live in a world that believes in it. Let that be your revolution. Let that be your legacy. Let the children guide us, for they cry the truth adults forget. In times of conflict, when the skies grow dark with smoke and the ground shakes with the weight of boots and bombs, it is easy to get lost in the roar of power. Leaders speak in strategies. Generals move pieces on maps like a game. The news counts casualties like numbers on a scoreboard. But a child does not understand the coldness of such calculations. A child sees only fear. A child hears only the explosions that tear through their sleep. A child feels only the absence of safety, the confusion of why the world around them is falling apart. And in their tears, in their trembling questions, in their small hands gripping tightly to whoever will hold them, is a truth we too often bury: war never protects what matters most. Children do not care about borders. They do not wake up in the morning wondering whether they are Cambodian or Thai. They care about whether there will be food on the table, whether their parents return home safe, whether the streets are quiet enough to walk and play. They are not the ones who start wars. They are the ones who suffer them, and yet somehow they still manage to smile. They still find ways to laugh, to draw with crayons even as the world burns around them. That resilience is not weakness. It is a reminder, a calling, an indictment on the adults who failed them in a hope for the world they might still rebuild. If we were to see this war through the eyes of a child, we would understand the cost more clearly. We would hear the silence left by a father who won't return. We would notice the small shoes left behind in a schoolyard turned to rubble. We would feel the fear of a mother rocking her baby in the darkness, praying the next bomb doesn't fall on their roof. There is no national anthem that can comfort such pain, no military victory that can erase it, no speech that can justify it. The eyes of a child cut through the lies we tell ourselves about duty and glory and honor. Their pain is the only truth that matters. So let them be our compass. Let them be the reason we stop before the next attack, the voice in our heads before the next order is given. Let every decision we make be weighed not in power, but in how it will echo in a child's life. Will this action build a future where they are free to dream, to study, to live without fear? Or will it sentence them to more nightmares? We must measure strength, not by the size of our arsenals, but by our ability to protect innocence. Not by how much land we can claim, but by how many children we keep safe. They are the legacy we leave behind, and they are watching us, learning from us, becoming what we show them. Let us teach them not the language of division but of compassion. Let us show them that leadership means protection, not destruction. Let them grow up remembering the day the bombs stopped falling, not the day they started. Let them speak decades from now of how their people chose peace not because it was easy but because it was right. And maybe, just maybe, if we listen to the children today, we won't have to bury so many tomorrow. You are not powerless no matter how loud the cannons roar, no matter how high the jets fly, or how many headlines scream of war. Do not be fooled into thinking that your voice, your presence, your choices don't matter. You may not wear a uniform or sit in a government seat, but you are a bearer of change, a carrier of light in a time of darkness. In moments of great conflict, it is often the quiet hearts, the unseen hands, the ordinary souls who do the extraordinary work of holding the world together. Power has always been misunderstood. It has been defined by the size of armies, by how forcefully one can strike, how much fear one can create. But that is not power, that is noise. True power is found in restraint, in integrity, in the steady determination to do what is right even when the world is pulled toward destruction. True power is when you choose peace while everything around you begs you to pick up a weapon. It is when you hold your ground not with violence but with principle. That kind of power has no limits, no expiry, and no enemy that can destroy it. In the face of war, it is tempting to feel small, as if your kindness can do nothing against bombs, as if your compassion is invisible against the machinery of destruction. But you must remember, every war is built on the silence of many, and every peace is built on the courage of a few. When you refuse to hate, you fracture the cycle. When you refuse to dehumanize the other side, you break the chain. When you choose to speak truthfully, to love fiercely, to act justly, you shift the balance, even if only by an inch. But enough inches become miles, enough voices become a movement. You may be a teacher, guiding young minds not just to learn, but to care. You may be a parent, raising children who believe in justice instead of vengeance. You may be a writer, an artist, a builder, a healer. Each one of you has a place in this battle for the soul of our world. The greatest revolutions do not always begin with shouts. They begin with whispers, with quiet refusals to accept what is wrong, with stubborn hope in the face of despair. Even now, as Thai jets cross borders and the drums of war beat louder, you are needed. Your presence, your protest, your prayer, your vision, it all matters. Light does not have to be loud to overcome darkness. It simply has to be consistent. One candle lit in the middle of a storm becomes a beacon. 100 candles become a fire no one can ignore. Do not underestimate the power of your own humanity. Stand firm in your belief that peace is not only possible, but necessary. Speak to your communities, support those in fear. Remind your leaders of their responsibility to protect life, not destroy it. Do not give in to apathy, for indifference is the oxygen of conflict. Be engaged, be alert, be ready. Because when this war ends, and it will end, there must be those who can say they stood on the side of life. There must be those who kept their hearts open, who sowed seeds while others burned bridges, who believed in the unseen future even as the present seemed to unravel. You are not powerless. You are essential. And the world needs you. Awake, alive, and unafraid to believe in peace. When peace feels most distant, that belief, acted upon, can move mountains. It always has.